Welcome to the AI Narratives Podcast. This is episode number 1. This is my first full episode, and I am delighted to bring Keira Brinton to the show. Keira is the CEO and founder of JOA Publishing, also known as Joan of Arc Publishing, and the publisher of my upcoming novel, Human Traits. She's bringing a unique perspective and a powerful message in the publishing world concerning AI, which is one of the many reasons we are partnering to bring my book to the market. If you want to learn more about this book and keep informed about the podcast, then please head over to puhala.com/human. And now, friends, here is Keira Brinton.
Right.
Keira.
Yes.
Welcome to the AI Narratives Podcast. The first one.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited that you're here, and I'm excited that you're doing the first one.
Yeah.
You, of course, are my publisher.
Yep.
And you started JOA Publishing.
I did.
And also your first fiction work.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, how many books has JOA published?
I don't even know.
Like, I guess.
Oh, dang. I know that we have over 100 authors. Now, a lot of authors have been in collaboration books. So I don't know. We're up probably to 70.
Okay.
A lot of books have come through in a short amount of time.
And what would you say the genre of book that you normally are after? Because you have the thing. One of the things that attracted me to you when I was starting to kind of get understanding who Keira Brinton is, was that you only publish books that are going to change the world.
Yes, that's my genre.
Yeah. Okay.
So that means we actually have like a whole entrepreneur leg. I'm an entrepreneur. I live and breathe entrepreneurship. So I believe entrepreneurs change the world. And so we have a whole leg of entrepreneur books. And then we have spiritual books. We have self-help books. And we have children's books. We have lots of children's books that have come out. I have 5 kids. There are a lot of really bad children's books. They just are. Like, they're not bad. They're just boring. They don't teach anything. They're fluff. So if I can find people who are going to go write really powerful children's books, I want to publish that. We need more of that into the world, right? So when you came in with this fiction, I've never had someone come to me with a fiction book. So that's why I haven't published fiction. No one's come to me with it. But also, it needs to land in the realm of it's going to change the world. And when you were telling me about your book, it was like something that woke up inside of me that was like, this needs to be written. And humans learn better through parables. We've known this from the beginning of time, right? Like, our ancestors told stories to teach principles. We learn through parables, and a fiction book is like a parable. So I thought, wow, all right, what if we know that this is going to go change people's lives, and this is in the story form, what's different than me channeling an entrepreneurship book? It's the same thing, but it's just going to be that we're making it into a story. Yeah.
And so then, was there something about the topic itself that resonated with you right away? Like artificial intelligence, obviously, and how humans and artificial intelligence, I don't like to say coexist, because that puts it on an equal playing field, which I don't believe artificial intelligence should be considered human. Hence my book, Human Traits, is the title, at least the working title that we're going with. But tell me a little bit about how kind of AI landed for you when you first heard the topic of the book.
Yes. So I'm in a network called Genius Network, and it's filled with like 300 plus really successful entrepreneurs who want to go out and make a difference in the world. So back in November, I remember being at a Genius Network event, and we spent 2 hours on AI. Like, first time I ever heard of AI. And it really was like, it hurt my brain.
So this is November of 22.
Yeah. So it was just like ChatGPT was just showing up, and like, you know, all these hungry entrepreneurs, like, we got to figure this out. We got to jump on it. And so it started to pique my interest. And at first I was like, I hate this. I don't like this. This feels hard. And then in like January, February, someone sat down with me with ChatGPT and started showing me its capabilities. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. I love this. This is fantastic. And then fast forward a few months, and people were like, oh my gosh, I can write my book in like 5 minutes with Chat GPT. And everyone's like, oh, finally, we get to write our books. It didn't take no time at all. And then it was like this, like something hit wrong inside of me. And I couldn't understand it for a while. But we're going to talk about why it didn't land so well in me. But to say that AI has piqued my interest is an understatement. It is now something that I feel deeply passionate about. One, it's here and it's never going away, and it's an amazing tool. But like all tools, we need to know when to use it.
Yeah, I used a term earlier today about using AI responsibly. I think you gravitated towards that.
I loved that. That like such a great sentence, because it's like, I'm not actually against AI. I think AI is brilliant. And I love that. Like, that's why I love that you're writing this book, because it's teaching us how do we coexist with it? How do we flourish with it? Yes, this is an amazing tool. And I'm also passionate that it doesn't take away inspired creation.
Yeah. So then talk to me about what you are doing with JOA Publishing specifically.
Yeah.
In promoting human authorship over AI authorship, because one of the more provocative things you mentioned when we were first kind of in dialogue about this topic was the speed at which AI will usurp creating books more than humans.
Yeah.
But maybe you could talk to me about what is one, maybe that topic, but also what is JOA? What are you doing specifically to promote human authorship over something like AI authorship?
Yes. So we have a stamp on every book that says authentic author, no artificial intelligence. And every book that I publish will have no AI. And it is not because I'm against AI. It is because I am pro-inspired creation. So I was sitting at another Genius Network event where this is just the conversation, right? Like AI it's the conversation right now. And I remember sitting at lunch with this genius AI master. Like, he really is a master. And he's talking to us and he's like, imagine if you took a year to paint a painting and you brought it to your customer and they're like, I don't like the way the arm looks. It would take you 3 months to go and fix it. But if AI created the painting and they didn't like it, you can fix it in 3 seconds. And it was in that moment that I was shown a vision. Because I am a medium, like, I see visions, and I saw a vision, and the vision was clear as day. And how the vision came to me was, if the Dark Ages in our civilization, the Dark Ages, ended with inspired art, what happens to a civilization when inspired art ends? It will be an implosion, and it will be a new Dark Ages. And it became a fight, like literally a fight, to keep inspired art alive. So that's why I'm fighting for this.
So then that speaks to a book that you're writing as well. So maybe you can talk to me a little bit about that.
So I have a new book coming out, and it's called The New Dark Ages: The Fight for the Authentic Creator. And the whole thing is about, like, how dare we give up our most delicious, wonderful, divine gift of inspiration to artificial intelligence because it's just faster.
Yeah. So where do you think, though, AI fits with authorship, though? So if we're saying that on one hand, we want humans to be inspired to create and to continue to create, and AI can do such a good job in my perspective, scaling work, helping maybe more of the mundane or remedial type of research type tasks or other things that AI is just so good at generating. But what, in your perspective, where does it fit in publishing?
I don't know if I have
book, or in the book authoring process.
I don't know if I have that answer. I really feel like where I'll tell you where I use it is like I write things and then I copy and paste them into Chat GPT. And then I say, can you turn this into a podcast write-up? So it's my words going into it. And then I just ask it to turn it into a podcast write-up. So it's not that I gave over my inspired creation. I'm just allowing it to then pull this little write-up over. So it's not taking my time to do that.
Yeah. So GPT stands for generative pre-trained transformer. And what you're asking it to do is pre-train on your text.
Yeah.
So then it's just giving you a summary. It's not pulling from any other corpus of text. It's not pulling from any other body of work.
Yeah.
It's still your work, your creation. It's just doing the executive summary. So it's the pre-trained part. You're giving it the small bit of text rather than what is considered to be a large language model or an LLM for the folks that are like technical, that are keeping track of how AI even works.
Right.
I think it's important for people to understand the terms that we're using, because now GPT is now in our vernacular.
Yeah.
It's like a year ago, we didn't know what this meant.
No.
The people that were working on it did, but the kind of normal lay folk and non-artificial intelligence, in terms of those of us that are working in technology, GPT is into the new. My guess is will be in the dictionary.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah.
Might be the word of the year, perhaps,
right.
Is what they what is it? Oxford Dictionary always creates Merriam-Webster always creates a word of the year that kind of has entered into the dialect of humanity. And so it'll be interesting to see at the end of the year what word they choose that has now entered into the dictionary that maybe wasn't in last year's dictionary.
Yeah.
As a part of that, my guess GPT could be one of those things.
I think you're right. And I'll tell you something that I saw as I was writing my book, which is if everybody decides like, oh, it's just so much faster. Like I could write a few words. So it is still a little bit of my content, my words, and then Chat GPT can just write my book, or it can write my speech, or it can write like this article for me. Well, then what happens though is that we live in a world of recycled ideas. If no one's opening up to receive new ideas and everyone's just going into Chat GPT, we're all just going to start, like, there will be nothing new. And if we look at everything in this world, even this coffee shop, I mean, we're sitting in this beautiful coffee shop with the most beautiful woodworking, like these chairs are handcrafted. That's inspired art. He received ideas and he created it. Everything that is amazing in our world came because someone sought out an answer from what I would say the divine, from the universe. They went in and they were like, I want a new idea. And then they received it. If we are all too busy to receive and Chat GPT or AI can just give us answers, we are literally cutting off any new creation that's going to come to the world. We are literally, like, in my opinion, cutting out the divine. And all this wild growth that our civilization has had comes to a halt because everyone has stopped receiving new ideas.
Okay, so a theme of my book is a protopian perspective of how humanity and AI, how does AI come alongside humanity to help it flourish?
And that's what I loved about it. It's like, give me some hope.
So a deep-seated optimism in humanity is what we're after.
Yes.
So then it's a dark title that you're writing.
I know.
I mean, dark is in the title, New Dark Ages. So I know you're not finished writing the book and maybe you haven't, all of the channeling and all of the message has not come to fruition, but talk to me about like a protopian outlook. Like, how do we overcome the new dark age?
I honestly believe it is that we all still be inspired. We seek it, seek inspiration, bring AI along with us, but like seek inspiration, seek it, receive it, bring things through. Like this is the thing that separates us from animals. Like really, animals didn't figure out how to build houses or cars or iPhones. Like we did. Humanity, because we have this ability to receive ideas and create. So I see it as if this, like, sometimes we have to get to this point of like, we fight for something. It's like inspired creation has just always been here. It's, oh, yeah, you know? So we get like used to it. But now that there's like this like possibility of it tanking, there's like a fight, like fight for it, humanity. Go out and seek ideas and then create. And let's not throw AI away. It's gonna be a great tool, but like, let it not take our magic.
I'm reminded of when the calculator became small enough to be battery operated. It was a threat to academia, and everybody thought that math skills were going to deteriorate or go away completely because we were all just going to rely on a calculator now to do our mathematics and thinking. And that's largely true in computing and calculators. But then at some point, academia relented and said, okay, how does it, rather than it being a threat, how can we bring it in as a tool to help math students, to help engineering, to become better at this? And I think collectively we've become much smarter around mathematics and science as a result of having amazing like computing computational power at our fingertips. So maybe in the same way, the computational power of AI helps humanity flourish versus it threatening humanity in taking our jobs or removing creation or stopping art. Tell me a little bit about like how you see AI if we kind of move to kind of the publishing industry as a whole, or like the book industry, if you will. I mean, specifically, I mean, we could talk about, you know, everything from podcasts to movies will be created with AI. There'll be AI bands and music created with that. But obviously you're in the publishing business. We've talked about creating the seal. What in your mind, like what does this look like in 3 years?
So you know, it's interesting. I don't really go there. For me, it's like, I think this could tank the publishing world, honestly, right? Like there's a big publishing house. I won't say their name, but they just went under 2 weeks ago. And their main gig was that they had someone listen to an author speak out loud, and then they would have like a ghostwriter take what they heard and turn it into a book. Now, I don't know why they went under. I haven't spent a lot of time looking at it, but I find it interesting. They're like, well, that's actually just kind of like what AI would do, right? Which is like taking that role. So I think that it could tank a lot of things. If people don't fight for authors to actually write their own damn books. Like, no, there are a lot of things to be lazy with. Washing the dishes. Oh, I have 5 kids. Thank you, washer. Thank you, dishwasher. A day without my dishwasher is the saddest day of my life. Thank you, washing machine. I run my washing machine 3 times a day. Hallelujah, right? But let us not give out our greatest gift of creation to AI. And so for me, I have no idea what the publishing world is going to look like. I don't actually care. I know what I'm fighting for and what I'm going to do in the publishing world, which is really stand for the authentic author. And why I wanted to have you as one of our authors is because I want your story of hope. Like, give me that. Like, show me what it would look like to live in a world where AI and humans flourish. And that's why, like, I was really inspired to help you. Like, please, can you write this book for me? Right? So why don't you tell me? I'm turning the tables here. Why don't you tell me what you see as possible and why you feel inspired to write this book?
Yeah, I see a world of possibility to help creators create, to give us ideas. I mean, we did use it to think about what could titles be for this podcast even, and that helped spark other ideas. That helped us kind of narrow down what. So I think AI will help humans scale. That's, I mean, the ultimate is like if it helps us scale. Like one of the things in the creation space are one-person businesses. Like we're seeing the kind of the rise of kind of single, kind of the solopreneur is what we're hearing. like how great can AI be to help the solopreneur take on a number of tasks or roles or what they would have to outsource or hire for.
Yeah.
So I see it operating in such a way that it can just help humanity scale in a more effective way. And at the end of the day, that's what computers help us do.
Yeah.
But they don't have one of the things that I mentioned in my preamble is that an AI won't win the championship. An AI won't know what to lose a loved one. An AI won't know to fall in love. Like these are distinctly human experiences, and yet we're starting to utilize AI to replace things, and maybe that's where the danger is we're replacing this notion of creation. But and I'm not staying away from the red flags in the book. I mean, I'm writing clear and present dangers. There are going to be warnings, but while there is a dystopian backdrop, perhaps, or a potential, I want to write in a protopian perspective and an outlook that and so this I think protopia was a new word that was introduced to you.
I had to like practice it a few times.
Yeah. And so and it's a word that Kevin Kelly I think coined in and around one of his books in around 2010 as something that is not utopia.
Yeah.
But because that feels otherworldly, that feels distant, that feels maybe impossible. Not dystopian, because that seems like what we're bombarded with now, but something that's better, something that's progress, something that's improved. Yeah. So hopefully my book serves as a protopian voice and something that's antithetical to what we're hearing in the media, what we're hearing in terms of fear of artificial intelligence. So the goal and objective in the storytelling and the narrative of a fiction piece is to provide what my goal and aim is to provide hope.
I love that, because hope heals so much. Hope is the thing that can get us through anything. So I remember when we were talking about your book before you began to write it, and I could just feel the hope. Like, please bring us hope, because AI is not going anywhere. So it's not like, oh, I hope that goes away. No, like AI's here. Like, I remember you sent me these videos of where was it? Someone on the news when the internet, right? Like when the internet went live and they're like, well, I'm not going to use the internet. I'm going to stand against it. And like watching it now, like we can't even go like 10 minutes without using the internet, you know? So it's like, yeah, AI is here. So give us let's create hope. And I love that your book is building it into a story, because stories help us rewrite our narratives. They help us rewrite the way we see life.
Yeah. One of the things that you've both encouraged and inspired me to do is to really focus on the human relationships in the book, because AI is the backdrop. Yeah. I'm not writing about AI per se.
Yeah.
I mean, AI is going to be a large factor and part of what this book's about. But at the end of the day, the book's titled Human Traits. It's about being human. And we're going to have some fun with pulling out the word AI in the word trait, and maybe juxtapose that. But I'm thankful, and I said this in the preamble as well, is that your belief in the book, your belief in me, your belief in this concept is really what is getting this book to be written. So thank you for that. I appreciate
it. It is my honor.
I appreciate that encouragement, and to that end, I think we can start to wrap this episode up. I do want to say thank you though to William Douglas. This is his coffee shop. We had a little bit of a snafu today.
Yeah.
Where the podcast studio we were going to use, they didn't have AC, and it's 118 degrees today. So that wasn't going to work. Yeah. But I remembered that my buddy had this coffee shop. He had some equipment. And he is a craftsman. And so, you brought the connection up. There's a large part of my book is set in a coffee shop, or there's a coffee shop. There's going to be lots of scenes are going to be written in and around kind of a coffee shop experience. So it's appropriate that we're in a coffee shop.
When you said to me, wait, we're going to record in a coffee shop. I was like, of course we are. Yeah. Like, this is where your main character, so much is happening, is in a coffee shop. So I think there's something I can feel that what I'm most excited about this podcast that you are going to be bringing to the world is that you're bringing to the world hope, but also like new ways of thinking, right? So if I go back to that news show that you showed me of Katie Couric saying, I won't use the internet. You guarantee I won't be on that internet, you know? Like, what if they had actually said, well, like, how do we live with this? How does this start to better our lives? And, you know, I remember you asking me, what did my life look like before the internet? And what happened when the internet came to be? And I remember I was 15, maybe it was 15 when our family finally got dial-up. And I remember, I can, it clear as day, standing on the top of my parents' stairwell, looking down at my brother, who was 12, dialing up and just stomping my feet down, because if he dialed up, that meant he hooked into our phone line and my boyfriend could not call the house because there were no cell phones. Of course. And so I was like, this is the only way he can call me, and you're dialing up to do what? And I was so angry about it. And now it's just like, what an interesting moment in time that was, because that's when it all began to shift. And you and I have talked about that right now it is one of those moments. It's the moment where we can always all look back and say, you know, my age, your age, where were you before the internet hit? Where were you before a cell phone? I was 22. And for some reason, my husband didn't have a cell phone. I went into labor at my house and had to wait for him to get to work to call him and tell him I was in labor. I don't know why he didn't have a cell phone. I feel like they existed, but clearly they didn't, or something, right? So it's interesting how we all remember these moments in time before the cell phone, before the internet, and now is that pocket. Like before, we'll always remember before AI, and your book and this podcast is going to help us all create, how do we now flourish with it?
Yeah, and my next guest is going to be Juliet Wright, who's a JOA author, and she's writing her own book coming out very soon. But a perspective that she will provide is that she owns her own branding agency. Yeah, and she's actually helping with your brand and helping with your author's brands, which is very exciting. But I'm excited to talk to her to talk about what AI will do in and around the branding and agency world. Yeah, and so that's really one of my goals with the podcast, is to bring in different perspectives and people from different professions and different backgrounds to bring in, you know, again, a protopian perspective, but one that is also a realistic one of, you know, how are we going to come alongside, or how is AI really come alongside humanity in that specific profession. So I thank you for shedding some insight on the publishing world. I also thank you for what you're doing for authors and what you're doing for the creation space. Your book, I can't wait to read it, around. And I think you're absolutely spot on around this new dark age that is a real threat. Yeah, and that we just need to continue to inspire humans, especially to the young generation and kids. Yeah, that's like they're so good at creating when we can't have that stop, and so at some point, we just need to encourage and inspire creation. So thank you for all the work that you're doing there.
Thank you. And this thought came to me, is that this is the easiest thing to ward off, right? Like all we have to do is keep creation alive. That's it. So it's almost like I could be so worried that this room is going to go dark, but if I just keep the light on, it doesn't go dark. And so it's like all we have to do is still be in creation, and we can still use AI. But like, let us stay in creation. The light will stay.
Well, thank you again. And I appreciate you having you here and coming to Phoenix and being in person. Yeah. So it's amazing. And so we'll wrap, and we'll look forward to speaking with you next time. And until that time, be well.